In today's video, we're going to be taking a deep dive into the upcoming pattern post Milton. So we're really taking a look at everything that is to follow. We've kind of neglected a lot of the other overall factors as we move forward. As you will see later on, there's a lot of snowfall expected, especially in the Rockies, but also some in some other places east of the plains. So we're going to be discussing that today. Some tropical concerns, although hopefully we're not really going to see anything too much from this point forward for the United States, and some pretty decent storms, as well as a massive Arctic blast on the way for early next week. Let's dive into things. With all that being said, we do see Milton off the southeast coast. What a terrible storm. It's interesting how certain factors were a little bit of a surprise. The tornadoes, I mean, we saw so many major tornadoes. We saw like 120 tornado warnings in Florida, which is absolutely insane. And that was a massive factor. And then also for the Tampa Bay, obviously there was some saltwater flooding, so the storm surge, but there was a massive amount of freshwater flooding, so the rainfall. And in yesterday's video, our last minute update, we did talk about how the rainfall was trending up and up and up, and that would be more of a factor. And that definitely played a role there for areas across the more northern corridor of the impacts, especially. Wind was obviously massive. Storm surge for certain areas was massive. What a terrible storm. I hope everybody is doing well after that is said and done. Let's just move on. I think there's not much to discuss for today on Thursday. Friday is a lot of the same, very quiet. We do have a low up here over the Hudson Bay with a dragging cold front, and it's kind of classic, but we see this warm air surging to the east of it with the cold front moving in. Not a lot of precipitation to discuss, but we do end up for Saturday seeing some cooler air, especially in these northern areas of the Midwest, the Great Lakes in the Northeast. Here we are seeing some cooler air, and especially here in eastern Canada, where we even see a snowstorm taking place due to that low. As we keep going, I want to take us towards Sunday, and this is when this Arctic blast is really getting started. And the ingredients are all here. We see this really large surge of warmth out west. This causes the jet stream to dip big time over the east, and we have a low developing here on the eastern end of this kind of jet stream, and that's also a very classic feature. We see a lot of precipitation here, especially on the southern and eastern end of that jet stream. Again, classic stuff. And we're overall going to be left with a very, very cold start to next week for a lot of areas in the eastern states. Already starting out for the Midwest, Plains, Great Lakes, Ohio Valley. A little bit more mild in the east, but that's going to end very quickly, as you can see by Monday, as we get a full-blown Arctic blast moving in just like this with a strong low-pressure system on the eastern end. So it's kind of like a nor'easter. It's a little bit over land here, but, you know, typically this would be a nor'easter situation. We do have some snowfall mixing in here for a lot of eastern Canada. Precipitation all within that Arctic air mass. Could see some flakes flying if some areas get cold enough. We do see some of that happening for New England overnight, Monday into Tuesday. What we're kind of left with on Tuesday is a very cool day, especially immediately along the east. Great Lakes, Ohio Valley, northeast down to the Mid-Atlantic and southeast. This is going to be overall a cooler trend here for the eastern states, with a pretty large warmer air mass over a lot of the west. As we keep going towards Wednesday, we do see that the northeast is still dealing with this major cool down. Again, some snowflakes flying, especially in higher elevations there throughout the northeast, New England more in particular. We do see a storm system moving onshore to the west. This is likely to bring some cooler air along that coast. And overall, this warmth should spread eastward over time. We do see heavy rainfall and even snowfall in the higher elevation. Excuse me. Higher elevations out west. I am a little bit under the weather, by the way. That's why the uploads have been a little inconsistent. The timing has been weird, and my energy might not seem right. I've been really battling like a sinus infection or something. It's just really like nagging, very mild cold, but it's like a irritating type of sickness, you know, nothing too major, but very irritating. By Thursday, we do see on October 17th, we start to get major snowfall throughout the Rockies and Cascades. Again, cooler air trending in for the west. This warmer air is moving eastward overall, so we're seeing something like this taking place by late next week. Friday, it's a lot of the same. The jet stream is diving over the Rockies, surging over the central states, and then slowly descending over the east. We could be left with some cooler air for the northeast in particular, but very warm across the Midwest and plains, and also the southeast should be warming by this point as well, with very, very cool temperatures, especially along that Rocky Mountain range where we are seeing some pretty heavy snowfall. By Saturday, we do see a frontal boundary setting up, and this could be a sign of another cool down in the east. A weaker low over the Hudson Bay, very weak, but we do see a cold front boundary setting up. A little bit of a warm push along the west, and we overall see this trough peaking around the plains here. This could be on the move eastward. We do see the surging warmth out ahead of it, so warmer for the weekend next weekend looks to be the trend, but again, this cooler air could be moving eastward overall. We see a low trying to take place here with the cold front underneath, something like this. We do see a low for the west. This could kind of hinder things if we see a cool down take place over the west, which does happen frequently. Maybe a little bit more of a minor cool down. It's really unknown at this point, but we will be watching that, as well as the tropics. I mean, there still is some moisture in the Gulf and Southern Caribbean. Again, I'm a little doubtful that we see anything come out of there, but nothing's impossible, as we've kind of seen over the last couple of weeks. So hopefully nothing occurs. There is enough moisture for something to occur, but again, I think it would be just absolutely insane to see a third system in the Gulf, although it's already pretty much insane. So let's move into the total precipitation. Really, really large amounts out in the northwest. Quite large amounts here throughout the kind of Midwest, plains, Great Lakes, northeast here as well. And then for southern Florida, we still continue to get that Gulf moisture. So let's look at the anomalies here. And again, same exact idea of well above average in the northwest. The Midwest, there's a little swath of above average, and then for southern Florida as well with that tropical moisture, but pretty dry still for the east. Here is the trend in a lot of the Rockies and some of the plains here, still dealing with some pretty dry conditions. As we take a look at the total snowfall, we do see really, really decent amounts for this time of year for the Cascades and Rockies, where at least a few inches is expected for all of these mountaintop locations. But we do see a lot of purples where that would be about 6 to 10. Pinks would be 10 to 15 perhaps. So over a foot could be expected throughout some of these highest mountain ranges in the Cascades and northern Rockies especially. Also some of Colorado mixed in there. We do see a few flakes flying for the Midwest, which is fairly common this time of year. Also the Smoky Mountains into kind of West Virginia, where we have very high elevations, and that is a little early, I feel like, but not unheard of. And then the northeast, we see these Adirondacks, Green Mountains, White Mountains, seeing that beginning of some flakes flying, and this is the time of year where you do expect to see them starting to get some snowfall. So very, very I would say on par with what you expect here for this mid-fall time frame for the most part. The temperature pattern, we do have some cooler temperatures around for the east. It is going to warm up briefly here, as you can see. Saturday, we have that kind of cool down for the northeast in particular. Along the immediate east coast, Sunday should be quite nice, also into Monday. But look at that massive cool down moving in. This is Monday afternoon. Again, surging warmth out west being the key ingredient here. We see this really, really strong push to the south with this cooler air. And that is going to be a massive Arctic blast. Even as we move towards Tuesday, look at those severely below normal temperatures in the east. The greens is indicative of 10 to 15 degrees below normal. I've seen a lot of comments that are like, the cold is normal this time of year. This is normal, but the key word here is 10 to 15 degrees below normal. So obviously I don't know what the argument really is there in the comments. It's below normal because that's what we're looking at here, is the compared to normal temperatures. So it is day by day accurate. So this is for October 15th. This is compared to the normal October 15th temperatures. We're seeing far below normal temperatures in the east and far above normal temperatures in a lot of the west here. So keep that in mind. Again, just wanted to clarify. I know it can be a little bit confusing, but this is definitely below what is normal for this time of year by far. As we just take a look at the tropics, thankfully nothing popping up in the Caribbean or Gulf for now, so really no indication from the National Hurricane Center that they're kind of keying in on anything. We see the remnants of Milton there off the east coast of Florida. Leslie, which is a very major hurricane. What's interesting about this hurricane season is, we kind of were forecasting, obviously, a very far above normal hurricane season. Early on, that was a very slow burner. We didn't see much happening throughout a lot of August and September. But slowly, our ACE score, which is going to be basically measuring the entire Atlantic hurricane season and the intensity of all the systems combined, not really taking into account the land interaction or the impacts, but more so the intensity of all systems combined. With all of this, Milton, Helene, all those storms, and other major ones like Leslie and others, we've actually moved into an above average hurricane season officially, pretty far above average actually as well. So any additional systems could push us into that very, very far above normal territory. And I would say that nobody would argue the impacts have been below normal either with Helene and Milton. It's been actually a quite extreme hurricane season as far as impacts, especially obviously Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, Tennessee. I don't think anybody's going to have any arguments with that. So although it started out very slow, it's made a comeback, unfortunately, and kind of verified with a lot of those, very far above normal hurricane season projections. Which honestly, to be honest, I was kind of making some videos saying, it has been kind of a bust and everything, but it's proven to be so sufficient for tropical activity that we've seen it make a full comeback somehow. So very interesting stuff. Hopefully we're all said and done though for the most part. Anyway, we do upload every single day, so be sure to subscribe for more videos just like this one. You can even hit the bell icon for daily notifications when we upload so you never miss one. Be sure to like the video if you did enjoy it, leave a comment down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video.